Hi everyone, welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm broadcasting to you this IELTS lesson from Budapest, Hungary. I hope everybody's doing great today on February 6th. Today we're looking at speaking part 1 and 2. Materials come from our websites, generalieltshelp.com or gieltshelp.com for 6 full practice exams, a fully interactive course, and over 100 hours of video lessons. Check us out there and join our full course. For academic IELTS, check us out at aehelp.com. That's specifically for academic IELTS. Hi, Kyber. Good to see you first in class. Hope you're doing well. All right, again, our materials come from our websites. For general IELTS, look for this website with the green background, gieltshelp.com. Click that big red button to join now. Do yourself a favor, spend a couple dollars and improve your IELTS band scores. For academic IELTS, you're looking for this blue website. Click that big red button and join our full course. All right, let's get to today's lesson. If you have questions, comments, you can email me. It's my name, Adrian, A-D-R-I-A-N, at gieltshelp.com. Hi, Ali. Hi, David. Hello, person with a Cyrillic name. I really have to learn how to read Cyrillic so I can get those names. I'm starting to get very curious these days. Schedule, February 6th to 16th. Speaking part 1 and 2 today. Tomorrow, letter writing, then some general reading, and finishing the week with some listening strategy. And then this is next week after. And here are the speaking questions for today. Hi, Kareem. Hi, Rajay. Good to see people joining in. All right, so just very quickly, for those students who are new to the IELTS and you have no idea about the speaking part of IELTS, it's an interview face-to-face with a native English-speaking person who is trained especially for this. The speaking interview is about 10 to 12 minutes in length. You will be asked questions. There are 3 parts. In part 1, it's just some general questions about you, your life, some simple questions to make you feel comfortable, get you started. And then part 2, you get a card. We'll see that example today with some questions that you have to answer. You have about 2 minutes to give your response. And then section 3 is more specific questions on that topic. All right, lots of students in class today, so that's great. A lot of students get really nervous about the speaking section, but you shouldn't. You should not be nervous for the speaking. Why not? Why should you not be nervous? So I'm sure you can tell me 1,000 reasons why you should be nervous, but let's see if any students have some thoughts or some opinions on why you should not be nervous for your speaking interview when you're there. Okay, so you get to the exam center, you're there. Why should you not be nervous? So Ali Al-Hadi says, hey, my speaking is tomorrow. So you should not be nervous, Ali, tomorrow when you do your speaking, and hopefully we can shed some light. You should be confident. Okay, Raja says, well, I feel really difficult to speak in front of anyone. Yeah, well, don't worry about it, Raja. It's okay. Abhishek says, not practicing enough. Okay, students, again, you're mishearing me. I'm not saying why should you feel nervous. I'm saying why shouldn't you feel nervous? So why not feel nervous? I'm taking a different direction on that question. Kyber says, I was speaking very confident during the mock test and speaking loudly. Examiner said, please speak a little bit with a lower voice. Yeah, don't shout at the examiner, but it's better to be loud, Kyber, than to be too quiet. That's true. David says, does the accent really matter? No, it doesn't, David. The accent does not really matter. If I can understand what you are saying, it is okay if you have a thick accent. So I'm still seeing a lot of why you should be nervous. But we're really thinking about why you shouldn't be nervous, okay? That scares me, by the way, students. It's scary for me to see that I'm asking you about why should you not be nervous, and you're still talking about why you are nervous. That makes me nervous as a teacher, okay? So think about why you shouldn't be nervous. Let's touch on a couple of points here. So why you should not be nervous for IELTS speaking on the day of your interview. Well, number one, sounds harsh, but you're not special. Okay? I don't mean that to be rude, that you're not special. I mean that in the kindest, most gentle way. There are students that have worse English than you. There are students who have better English than you. It is very, very unlikely that you will be the best or the worst candidate that day out of those 40, 50 people, and definitely not the worst or the best that that examiner has seen. So you're not special. You are not the worst or the best. It's good if you believe you're the best. That's confidence. But let's be honest. Okay. So you're probably not the worst. You're not the best. That's one reason. You're just a number. Okay. Like a prisoner in jail. So you have an IELTS number. That is who you are in that exam. Yes, you use your name. But to the IELTS examiner, you're really just a number. I'm sorry to say, but they probably will not be thinking about you for the whole day. As soon as you walk out of that room, they will probably forget about you, okay? Again, they're there to do a job. You're there to do a job. Number two, you shouldn't be nervous because you studied as much as possible. You cannot learn to speak English in one day. So do your best, okay? All right, be confident. Imagine that the examiner is your grandfather or your grandmother. So just picture them, okay? Stay calm, breathe, all right? So you imagine that your examiner is your grandfather or grandmother. Speak loud, confident, clear, respectful, and complete ideas, okay? Grandfather, grandmother doesn't know about tweeting and Instagramming each other and Facebook, so please speak full sentences, complete ideas, okay? So that's another reason. One more reason not to be nervous for IELTS is, hey, the sun will shine tomorrow, okay? You will wake up the next day, the sun will shine, life will go on. It's not the only chance in life, so don't stress about it, all right? You just do your best. If the sun does not shine the next day, then the whole world is in trouble anyway, and you're not worried about English. So the sun will shine tomorrow. It sounds kind of cliche, to say this, but it is a simple idea just to keep in mind to help you stay confident for the speaking section. Okay? So stay calm, stay confident. All right? It's maybe the first time you're using English with a native speaker in this kind of situation, but it's not the first time for the examiner. So just be calm. Okay? Hi, Marina. All right. So the examiner will start off the interview. They'll say, welcome to the speaking portion of the IELTS exam. My name is Adrian. I will be your examiner for this part of the test. It has 3 parts. I will give you instructions for each part. May I see your passport or identification, please? For that, you say, yes, here you go. All right, now, students, this is speaking, so repeat me. Okay, repeat my words, my sentences, phrases, the questions, the answers, my pronunciation, my enunciation. Okay, just repeat. I'm starting this week on this channel and our academic channel with speaking, just to really get you going and feeling good about your English. So repeat me, repeat me, repeat me. And remember, the lesson is recorded, so you can continue practicing later and tomorrow from the recording on the channel. All right. That's if you miss a sentence or miss an idea. So the examiner will always start off by asking for your full name. They're checking your name with that IELTS number. That's who you are for your registration. So they'll say, what is your full name? Okay. So what is your full name? Meanwhile, I'll try to answer a couple questions. David says, does your mother tones create, reduce, or bend? I'm not sure what you're asking there clearly, David, but if you're asking if you use intonation in your mother tongue, it could, because it could be awkward. Okay, Mukesh says, my name is Mukesh Rawat. And Mukesh, the follow-up question is always, what should I call you, Mukesh? Or what should I call you? So you can say, just call me Mukesh. It's my first name. Okay. So Khyber says, my given name is Khyber. My family name is Momand. So you can call me Khyber. Yeah, sure. Ali Al-Hadi says, my name is Ali Abdel Hadi, which my parents gave me, my father to be exact. You can call me Ali. Yeah, Ali, that's an interesting one. We would assume that your parents gave you your name, but it's nice that you went into the detail of my father to be exact, so that's kind of neat. Okay. Mobeen says, do you have script answers? Absolutely. We have lots of script answers, Mobeen, on the website, but it doesn't make sense to give those to you in the lesson. Shanze says, my full name is Shanze Khan. Shanze is my given name, and Khan is my family name. Just refer to me as Shanze. Okay, those are all some nice ways to express your fluency and give a clear answer. Absolutely. So I'll just take one of those, or maybe give it a personal twist. So, US, America, we usually say family name, given name. In Britain or Canada, we often say surname and given name. So you can use either, just stick with one. My surname is Smith, and my given name is John. Please refer to me as John. Okay, so please refer to me as John. Okay, good. Now, the examiner will ask you a couple of questions to get to know you better, and some questions on a general topic. So, very common question. It's a good one to kickstart today's lesson. Do you work or study? Do you work or study? And I can see there's a couple students jumping the gun on that. David says, well, currently I'm a student and I recently completed my bachelor's degree of administration at a university which is located in my hometown. There's missing information there, David, between administration and which. All right. So try this one, students. Do you work or study? Okay, give me some answers and I'll check them out. I'll put my own up here as well. So not only am I working as an electrical engineer for the government, but I'm also studying IELTS in hopes of doing a master's degree abroad in Germany, for example. Okay, so there's a correlative conjunction there. So repeat after me. Do you work or study? Not only am I working as an electrical engineer for the government, but I'm also studying IELTS in hopes of doing a master's degree abroad in Germany. That's a nice way to answer that question. Okay. Marina says, I work in a bank and self-study. All right, that's good, Marina. It's a little bit fast. I would prefer that you tell me what you do in the bank. So you could say, I work in a bank as an administrator or an accountant, and I self-study. Self-study what? And I self-study English. I self-study communication. So give me a little bit more detail, because in natural conversation, that would be our next question, Marina. Okay. Mukesh says, I'm running a business. It's a printing press, and I do different kinds of printing and various media. Okay, Mukesh, we do different kinds. It's okay. It's not a mistake. It's just a little bit awkward because now you're talking about yourself and your colleagues. So in that case, you should say, and my two colleagues and I, or my two employees and I, do different kinds of printing and various media. That would be a little bit more clear in that response. Okay. All right. Don't worry, students. We got lots to go. So if I didn't catch yours, I'll catch it on the next question or later on. Let's go to the next one. What do you do in your free time? Again, repeat after me. What do you do in your free time? Don't just focus on answers. Focus on repeating questions as well. Okay? Focus on this one. What do you do in your free time? Remember to paraphrase. Use your synonyms. Okay? Leisure time is probably a synonym that many of you just thought of. Here's a little bit of a descriptive paraphrase with an expression. Well, when I have some time to myself, I like to go to the gym for exercise, as I did this morning, or watch a movie with my friends, like the new Avengers last weekend. Okay, so this is my example. I'm looking for yours. Repeat after me. Well, when I have some time to myself, I like to go to the gym for exercise, as I did this morning, or watch a movie with my friends like the new Avengers last weekend. Notice how not a lot of words, so I have 2.5 lines here of size 16 font. I'm using a subordinating conjunction of condition, when I have time. It's a real condition. I don't say if I have time, I say when I have time. Obviously, we all have some time to relax, so I'm using a real condition, okay? I like to go to the gym for exercise. Right away, a smooth flowing example using as. You can use like or as, switch those up. As I did this morning, comma, or watch a movie with my friends like the new Avengers last weekend. So I'm using quantitative information that's measurable, that's visible. I'm using specific information, smooth flowing examples, and complex language. It looks easy, it looks simple, but you have to practice this, okay? I put you, good to see you in class. All right. Nagar Bunny Safar says, I usually hang out with my friends at a nice cafe around my house. Also, I like to read books and even write poems in my free time. Nagar, it's a really nice answer. Keep going that way. You'll get a band 8-9 as long as you express yourself well. So it's good. Again, students, remember the chat is great because we're typing, and I want you to do that, but I also want you to say these responses. I keep reminding you because I really want you to talk and say, okay? Not just in your head, not quietly. Hopefully you're not sitting in a place where you have to be quiet. I really want you to speak loud, okay? All right. Alpha Omega says, in my spare time, I'm watching food videos on YouTube and learning new cooking recipes from these. Last weekend, I made a great spaghetti, which I learned from one of these channels. Okay, so Alpha, give me a little bit more. Notice my addition there also included an adjective clause, really kind of just bumping up your band score. Okay. All right, students, good job so far. So let's just jump back here to a little bit of strategy before we get into some more part 1 questions. What to do before the speaking exam. So what are some really important points to keep in mind before you go into your speaking exam? So let's say the 24 hours and the 1 hour before your speaking exam, what should you do? Well, some obvious ones, right? And you probably hear these often from your teachers and websites, and you hear them from me. Use English as much as possible. Think of small children. Okay, most of us have some cousins, nephews, nieces, and we see small children. 2 or 3-year-old children don't care about what they say or how they say it. They just say it. They say the truth. I have a 2.5-year-old little girl, and she speaks beautifully, and she speaks a lot, just like me. There's a clear father-daughter connection there, and she speaks 2 languages already. So she loves to talk, and she doesn't care if we don't completely understand what she's saying. You need to do that before you sit your IELTS. You need to talk as much as possible in English, okay? Even to people that don't speak very good English. So if your father or your mother or your brother or your sister, they don't speak very good English, they speak Arabic, Hindi, Punjabi, Chinese, Portuguese, French, Spanish, it doesn't matter. Just say, I'm going to talk to you in English for the next 24 hours. If you don't understand what I'm saying, just nod and smile, okay? Because you're practicing, all right? So use English as much as possible. Somebody's just asking, what should you do for fluency? We just uploaded a new video on our other channel about that, and we'll upload it to this channel this week for fluency. So it's a good question, okay? So use English as much as possible. Think of 2-year-olds, okay, for the 24 hours leading up to the exam. Okay, keep in mind that what I'm telling you right now, this can improve easily your band score by a half, okay, if not a full mark. Okay, so if you're like, oh, I really need to get 7 and I always get 6.5, just following this strategy could be the difference for you between band 6.5 and band 7. Okay, so use English as much as possible leading up to the exam. What else should you do? Abdullah says, what if I don't have anyone to speak English with? Speak English in a mirror in front of people who don't speak English. Record yourself on the phone. Find a speaking partner on the internet. You have to do something, Abdullah. You cannot just stay quiet and stare at the ceiling or speak your own language. It does not work that way, okay? It doesn't matter, Onisim, if you're using American or British English. Just speak well. All right. Take speaking questions with you to the exam and arrive 1 hour before your interview, okay? Find other candidates and ask them, of course, in English, so please don't speak them in your own language, in English, to practice with you. They'll be happy, okay? Just that one strategy can improve your band score by a half or a full mark. So many times I do practice interviews with students. So on our websites, you have a chance to buy practice interviews with me or my colleagues. So often we do these practice interviews with students, and it's interesting because about halfway through the interview, so somewhere in part 2, the student becomes a lot more fluent and their language becomes much better. And we're kind of like, oh, really? If you practiced for just 10 or 15 minutes, even talking to yourself before the interview, you get a half band more because your fluency takes time to increase. Your ability takes time to reach maximum, right? It's like doing sports or playing video games. You're usually not the best in the first 5 minutes. It takes you 5, 6, 10 minutes to really reach your full potential or your full ability. The speaking exam is short, guys and girls. So if you're not practicing English before the exam, then your best English actually comes near the end of the exam. That's not good because the examiner will not grade you on your last 2 sentences. They will grade you on the full 10 minutes. So really important to practice. Okay? All right. Now, the last one, and this is also a very important tip. So the last tip for you is make a mental checklist. Okay? Of what you need to pay attention to. Okay, let me just write that in big letters again. Checklist. Okay, of what you must pay attention to. Okay, and this is a little bit of a review from last week, but it's a really good strategy. So this is a list in your mind. So when you're practicing for IELTS, you know that, okay, Adrian said use correlative conjunctions, like not only, but also. I not only have 2 brothers, but I also have 3 sisters. They are all university students. So use correlative conjunctions. Okay, what else did I learn from online or textbook or from my IELTS class that I have to remember for speaking? Okay, speak in full sentences. Show the grammar of the question. Okay, I have to remember that. So you have a checklist, especially for points that you forget, and then you think about that, right? So before you walk in and see that interviewer. So when you sit down, you're very good at remembering those points and not making those mistakes. So for example, and each of your checklists for all these students will be different. Okay, one student will be correlative conjunctions. Another student will be look at the notes for part 2. So many students write down their notes in part 2, never look at them. That's bad. Okay, so use conjunctions. Use quantitative language. Use notes in part 2. Okay, so these are some common ones. Your mental checklist should be 5-6 points. Okay, use complex sentences. Absolutely, Varun. Okay, so that's a mental checklist. All right. So let's answer 1 or 2 questions, then we'll get back to some more strategy. So here we go. All right, let's get back to a couple more questions so you're not just listening to me, but you're also practicing. Here we go, students. So now the examiner, after asking you those questions of what do you like to do in your free time, do you work, do you study, they'll say, okay, let's talk about friends. Okay, let's talk about friends. How often do you see your friends? Give me a nice answer for this one, students. So how often do you see your friends? I'm going to give you my answer while you're thinking of yours. And again, repeat after me. Well, since I'm up to my ears in work these days, I usually get a chance once or twice a week to hang out with my pals. As I mentioned, I did get a chance to watch a flick or the Avengers flick with them on the weekend. Or at the weekend if you're going British. Okay, Kyber says, I see my close friends on Saturday in the week because I'm studying and working and can't find time to see each other. Just last week, I've seen my friends and watched Blockbuster. Kyber, a famous movie, is a blockbuster. Okay, go ahead, students. Write up your examples. Repeat after me. How often do you see your friends? Well, since I'm up to my ears in work these days, I usually get a chance once or twice a week to hang out with my pals. As I mentioned, I did get a chance to watch the Avengers flick with them on the weekend. Notice my paraphrasing. I am using an idiom here. Only use idioms, students, if you're 110% sure that you're using it correctly. If you're not 110% sure, don't use it, okay? If you use an idiom in a wrong way in the speaking or in the writing, your mark literally takes a nosedive, okay? It goes zzz, poof, because it's awkward and hurts your comprehension score, all right? So let's see some of your answers coming up. Great. Binita Chetri says, as I am busy with my IELTS and my friend also is occupied with her bachelor's degree, it's quite hard for us to see each other. However, we do catch up once a week on Skype, if not in person. Okay, Binita, notice my corrections and my addition there. Pay attention to that. Onisim Lonut says, due to my busy schedule, I do not have enough time to hang out with my friends. So on account of that, we gather around on the weekends. Yes. Now, Onismi, careful not to have repetition in what you're saying. You shouldn't do that in your speech or in your writing. So on account of that reason is awkward. On account of that means that reason. Okay? Okay, good. Patricio Lordela says, I see my friends once a week because I work every day and only have the opportunity to meet with them on Sundays when I have a day off. Just last weekend, we went to the park near my home to play football. Good, Patricio. Nice addition of the example. Don't be shy, students. Repeat your peers' examples as well. Well, they're good, okay? Mukesh says, I hardly get time to meet with my friends. It's nice. I hardly get time to meet is nice, natural English, okay? But we talk on the phone as every one of them has their own responsibilities to do during the week. Once a month, we meet and talk about general matters and enjoy our time together. Good. All right, good, students. So notice here in my example, I also made a connection to what I said before. So in the beginning, I said that in my free time, I go to the gym like I did in the morning or watch a movie with friends like the new Avengers. And as soon as that question came up with how often, then I said, you know, not that often, but I did watch that movie with them on the weekend. Okay, what do you like to do with your friends? Okay, what do you like to do with your friends? Give me a nice answer for this one. Try not to repeat what you already said, okay? It's good to say, as I mentioned, and make connections among your ideas, but it's not good to be redundant and repeat the same sentence again and again, even if it's paraphrased. And definitely don't verbatim repeat the same sentence. Verbatim means word for word, okay? So don't do word for word repetition. That's not good, all right? So try to think of new ideas. So here, I'm not going to say, well, as I mentioned twice before, I like to watch movies with my friends. I just watched The Avengers last weekend. It would be a little bit redundant a third time around. So I'm going to avoid that and give some new information. Okay? So give me a sentence to answer this one. I'll do the same. There are several activities I enjoy doing with my friends, including sports such as playing football, or if we have more time, like a few days, we go on road trips to other parts of the country and enjoy different sights and sounds around Canada. Okay, it's my country. I'll go with that one. Be specific. Mukesh says, I love to go out with my friends for long rides, which always feel adventurous. Mukesh, do you mean horseback riding, camel riding? So what do you mean by long rides? Do you mean like in a car or on a motorcycle? So be a little bit more specific, Mukesh. All right. Abhishek says, we plan a long drive once every 3 months in a year, and sometimes plan a short trip to nearby territories. Like last time, we visited a hill station and enjoyed the snowfall there. Abhishek, great. Really beautiful quantitative language. Very nice response. Abhishek, good job, man. I'm really appreciating how much your English has improved, and not just your English, but your ability to communicate. So the clarity of your communication. I wonder if you're feeling an improvement in your communication in your own language by practicing the skills in these classes. You don't have to tell me, but I do wonder that. Okay, Samneet Kaur says, well, whenever I get to meet my friends, we usually catch up on whatever is going on in our lives. And in addition to this, we go for shopping and have a couple of meals together and enjoy our time. Samneet, that's great. It's a little bit generalized, but it's nice, natural English. Practice saying that nice and smooth like I just did. You can do that by watching this video again later. Remember the time. So one trick here, students, when I read your example, look at the time in the lesson. Right now it's 36 minutes, 30 seconds. You can write down that time, and then you can say, okay, Adrian corrected my comment. So then later you can just skip or jump to your comment and then repeat what I say nice and smooth so you can build your fluency, pronunciation, and enunciation. Okay? I do speak West Coast North American English, so it's one of the clearest forms of English or accents of English around the world. So that works well for you. Okay? Nagar says, I like to party with my friends as I love dancing and having fun with them. But even if no one invites us to a party, we get together at each other's place, chat and gossip till midnight. Nagar, really nice answer. Okay, I like it. Sure, we love to party with our friends. Why not? Pachu says, I usually go with my friends for watching movies because they are excellent to discuss what we see. And we have good laughs about the storyline. Pachu, the end of it, I would change a little bit. Okay? All right. So, Radka, I think you're finishing off. Yeah, you are with the example, which is good. Okay? That was a good one, Radka. Nice quantitative language. All right, students. So, let's jump back to a little bit more strategy. And you should be able to answer this question for me now. If I want to get a band 7, okay, and a student asked me this today. They said, Adrian, you give some examples for students to get a band 9, but I just need a band 7. What do I need to do to get a band 7? I don't need a band 9. Just give me a band 7. What do I need to do? So let's start with this question. How do I answer questions in speaking if I need to get a band 7? What is the minimum that I have to pay attention to? Okay, let's talk a little bit more strategy here, students. What's the absolute minimum or the least that I need to pay attention to get a band 7? There's definitely some points. Remember, a band 7 is what's called a good user of English. So what do I need to be considered a good user of English? Okay. So how to answer questions to get at least band 7, which means good user of English. Yes, absolutely, Kyber, to get a solid score. Marina says, give an example, maybe. Yeah, examples can certainly help, Marina, to secure the 7. Okay. Vishal says fluency. Yeah, but those are not not the top. Okay, so Vishal, you need to be fluent for band 6 even, because band 6 is called a fluent speaker of English. So if you look at your IELTS band scores, a band score 6 is considered a fluent English speaker. Band 7 is a good user of English. Okay, so Mukesh says you should understand the question and answer well with no grammatical mistakes. Okay, Mukesh, you are much closer to one of the fundamental points for a band 7, okay, which is you must answer the question specifically. And by that, yes, you show that you understand the question. So that's first and foremost, okay? You cannot just talk about friends in general. So if I ask, what do you like to do with your friends on the weekend? You can't tell me something like, well, when I go on vacation with my friends, we usually go to the seaside and do some fishing. Okay, so that's not a band 7. So if I ask you, what do you like to do with your friends on the weekend? And you say, on vacation, my friends and I go fishing. Then in my mind, I'm going, okay, I didn't ask you about a vacation. Even if you think the weekend's a vacation time, you still have to tell me that. So you have to say, well, on Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, when I don't have work and I'm with my friends, we like to go fishing. That makes sense, okay? That's directly answering the question. So Shanzei says connect ideas. Yeah, you do. For band 7, you have to have strong connections among ideas, okay? So you need to use conjunctions. You need to use adjective clauses, okay? I'll go down a little bit here, so just give me one moment. Some students that join in now. So here we go. So again, we're talking about how to answer these questions to get at least band 7, which is good user of English. So you have to specifically answer the question. You can't just generally answer questions, okay? You have to make good connections among your ideas. You have to, this is a very important one, along with strong connections, is give an answer, explain, and example. So that's very, very useful, okay? So give your answer, explain it, and example, and you have to have strong connections there, okay? Now, the other one is paraphrasing. So you must use a range of words and not repeat the same word over and over. Okay, if you're looking for a band 7, that's very, very important. And yeah, Pachu, you're right, for number 2, so that's the connections, correlative, subordinating. And if you want to get a band 7, you have to focus on depth of information and not just jumping from one point to the other. Some students, and I think there's some bad lessons on the internet or somewhere, that teaches students to just give a whole plethora of different ideas. So which sport do you like to play? And then students will say, well, I like to play football, I also play cricket, and I like to go swimming, I do running, and I play tennis, and I play badminton, I play basketball and volleyball also. It's like, okay, great. I'm happy you just listed 10 different sports, but I would be much more interested in 1 or 2 of those, the reason for that sport, and an example of it. So a much better answer would be, I really enjoy playing football because I spend time with my friends. Just like last weekend, me and 3 of my pals got together, had a great game. I scored 2 points. That will get you a much better band score than if you list 6 different sports that you tried to play in your life. Okay? So go for detail, also known as depth. Okay, so going deep, instead of many different ideas, which is breadth. Okay, Pachu, that's a good one to include for a band 7. Use both qualitative and quantitative information. I live, here's an example for everybody to be clear. I live far from my work. My office is about 50 kilometers from my home. Okay, first part, qualitative. Again, repeat after me. I live far from my work. And the second part is quantitative. My office is about 50 kilometers from my home. So these are 5 really important points to keep in mind if you need to get a band 7. Of course, if you want to get a band 8 or a band 9, they're also important and some more points, but we won't get into those right now. But these are important. And then, of course, you can't make too many grammatical mistakes. You have to reflect the grammar of the question. I'll add that as the last one. So pay attention to those. Now, let's talk about one more before we get into some additional questions. What should you do if you're interrupted? So a lot of students have asked me this question these days, and this is common now in the IELTS interview, that the examiner will interrupt you. So you're giving an answer, you're giving an answer like, well, since I'm up to my ears in work these days, I usually get a chance once or twice to hang out with my pals, as I mentioned, and then suddenly the examiner says, next question, what do you like to do with your friends? Okay, so as you start saying, as I mentioned, they say, what do you like to do with your friends? So they interrupt you. Okay, what should you do? The examiner is interrupting you because some students just don't stop talking. Okay, why does the examiner interrupt you? Because many students don't stop talking. They have 10 minutes to ask you questions. They don't want to just ask one question. They need to ask at least a few questions for part 1 and part 3. So the only way they can stop some students from talking is by interrupting them. Okay? You should try to finish your sentences or your answers within a short time. So you shouldn't just keep talking and talking. That's really bad. I don't know why, but again, some schools and some programs told students just keep talking until the examiner stops you. Well, now what's happening is they will stop you with a very awkward interruption. Okay, nobody likes doing it, but they have to. Okay, so practice giving complete answers in a short time to avoid interruptions. But a good question is, what should you do if you're interrupted? So if the examiner cuts into the middle of your sentence or into what you're saying, what should you do? So Marina says, just say, okay, and then go on with your answer. Yeah, sure. That's one way. Just ignore it, right? So first of all, I think I can almost feel your brains turning and thinking about what should I do? Okay, well, first of all, when they interrupt you, stop and pay attention to what they're asking, okay? So when you get interrupted, don't just keep talking or don't get flustered or don't freak out. So don't do one of these funky chicken moves and be like, what's going on? So just stay calm, okay? And stop, all right? Stop. Listen to what the examiner is asking. Okay, so listen for that next question. It doesn't matter if you didn't finish. Doesn't matter if you're in the middle of your answer. Just stop. Wait for the question. Okay? So stay calm. Listen to the examiner. Shunze, that's great. So Shunze says you can say, excuse me, I haven't finished my answer yet. May I just finish and then we can go on? You can do that. Don't do that a lot, Shunze, but you can do that. Absolutely. If you feel like you're still giving your answer, then definitely you can say, okay, just finish your answer and then go on. Now, this is a little bit tricky for me to show you as we're not face-to-face listening to each other, but I'll give you an example. So let's say here we're going on about how often do you see your friends? Well, since I'm up to my ears in work, I usually get a chance once or twice a week to hang out with my pals, and boom, here, let's say the examiner interrupts me and says, what do you like to do with your friends? And then you can say, well, okay, as I was just about to say, my friends and I like to watch movies together. We watch the Avengers flick on the weekend, as I just mentioned. Also, we like to go on road trips. Okay, so pay attention to what the examiner is asking you and try to naturally keep it going or keep it connected with the context of your answers. Okay, so don't just keep talking. Now, also listen, because if the examiner repeats the same question, so the examiner says, how often do you see your friends again? It's probably because you didn't understand the question and answer correctly. So pay attention to what the examiner is asking. Okay? Again, remember that. Stop, listen to what the examiner is asking. If it is the same question as before, so this is why you don't want to keep talking. It means you're giving the wrong answer. And the examiner is giving you a second chance. Okay? So, how often do you get to see your friends? And I'm talking about what I did with my friends last year for vacation. Then the examiner says, no, how often do you see? They won't say no. They'll just say, how often do you see your friends? And then you go, oh, I'm sorry, I misheard you. Okay? I usually see my friends 2-3 times a week as I'm up to my ears in work. All right? So there's different ways. If it's a new question, pay attention and answer it. Okay? Try to finish your answers. Okay? If you feel like the examiner is really rushing you, okay, and they're kind of almost being rude, they're really not letting you finish any of your sentences, then you might want to say, just a moment, please, sir or madam. I'd like to finish my answer if you don't mind. Okay? So then you can do that. Okay. So does that make sense for everybody, what I'm telling you with this? Because it's happening very often. This is very important information because I'm getting this from a lot of students that the examiner didn't let me finish my answers, especially in part 3, or the examiner kept interrupting me, or the examiner interrupted me and repeated the same question 2 times. What's happening, Adrian? Why is this happening? Okay. So do these answers, or does this make sense what I'm trying to show you here? Okay, it's very important in today's IELTS, and it's really important that you stay calm. All right. Okay, this is a nice way to ask for that. So may I please finish my response before we move on to the next question? I'd like a chance to express myself clearly. Okay, that's good communication. It's polite, and hopefully you don't have to use that too often or at all. But if you do, that's a nice way to do it. Okay. All right, students. Let's jump to this question here. So repeat after me. Did you lose any of your friends from childhood? Answer that question for me. Did you lose any of your friends from childhood? Give me a nice, solid answer for that question. I'll wait for you, students. So Abdallah says, that makes sense to me because I can no longer focus on anything when I'm interrupted. Absolutely, Abdullah. Nobody likes being interrupted. It's very frustrating whether we're chatting with our friends or family, colleagues. It's very, very awkward, even in our own language. It's very awkward and inconvenient and inconducive to communication when we interrupt each other. So we have to have pauses. But that also means, don't just keep talking for every answer. So say your answer, your explanation, an example, and stop. Okay? All right. So give me a nice answer to this question, students. Did you lose any of your friends from your childhood? Again, remember, answer, explain, example, connect. Marina says, of course, I lost all my friends from that period of my life because I live in a huge country and now we all live in different parts. Okay, Marina, remember, say your country. So, and of course is a bit awkward because how should I know, right? I mean, maybe I didn't grow up with you, Marina, so I don't know it's of course. So I would start, Marina, something like, unfortunately, I lost all of my friends from my elementary school years because Russia is huge and we all live in different regions of the country now. I moved from where I went to school, so I don't see any of those people anymore. All right? So a little bit more clear, Marina. Remember, the examiner is your grandma or your grandpa. They don't know exactly what you know, so you have to be clear. Mukesh says, yes, many of them. Many of them settled in their life and no one has time to meet. We call each other sometimes, but most of us have made new friends. Again, Mukesh, careful. Express that clearly. Okay. Kyber, yes. I have lost one of my best friends because I immigrated to another nation, which is Australia, and could not find him on Facebook or through mobile phone. Yeah, Kyber, okay, that's good. You can name your friend as well. Yes, I lost one of my best friends, Joe, because I immigrated. So add that part. All right, some nice answers. All right, students, that's it for me for today. I'll give you the example for this one. Yes, I've lost many of my friends from before the age of 12, as I had moved to a different city at that time, and there was no social media or email to keep in touch. Okay. Again, students, that's it for me for today. Lots of tips and strategies. Here is a quick peek at part 2 for today that I'm going to give you for homework. Talk about a beautiful building in your city. What is this building? Where is it located? What is it used for? What makes this building beautiful? You can record your answer for this part 2 cue card on your phone. Send me the MP3 to my email address, and I'll give you a quick or send you a quick email back about your band score. My email again is Adrian@gieltshelp.com. Wow, a lot of work today. Adrian@gieltshelp.com. You can send it there, okay? So again, you can see the question in the stream description. In 30 minutes, I will do another part 1, part 2 speaking class on Academic English Helps channel. That's our academic IELTS site, but the speaking is same for general and academic. So check us out in 30 minutes at Academic English Help, and we'll focus more on part 2, so you can get an example part 2 as well, okay? Don't forget, students, these strategies and a lot of help, including examples, 6 original practice tests, over 100 hours of video lessons, fully interactive course that you can use on your phone, tablet, PC. Check out our websites. Join our full course. Help us help you. gieltshelp.com. That's this website here with the green background. Click that big red button and join us. Or aehelp.com. Click that big red button and join us there for academic IELTS, okay? People who use our software, they all improve their band scores, we can happily say. So check us out. And hopefully I'll see many of you students in the next live class. Thank you so much for watching. Much love to all of you. Have a great rest of your day. A nice, relaxing evening if it's getting later in your country. Bye for now.